Some people think kindness is part of the job, that no matter how rude someone is, you just smile, scan their items, and move on. But anyone who's ever worked a late shift knows the truth. Not every customer leaves their cruelty at the door. That night she was just trying to close up, counting till receipts, wiping the counter, when three men walked in, loud, drunk, and looking for trouble. They didn't come to buy anything. They came to make someone feel small. What they didn't know was that someone else was still in the store, a man who doesn't just watch things happen. Jasonstatham looked up from aisle 4, saw what they were doing, and that's when the night stopped being theirs. Before we continue, if you've been following our stories, you already know it's never just about what happened, but why it matters. The moments when someone decides to step in, when silence finally breaks. And if you're new here, welcome. Stick around till the end, because what Jason did that night wasn't about being a hero. It was about reminding everyone in that store what respect really looks like. The store had that quiet hum only night shift workers understand. The sound of lights buzzing, refrigerators clicking, and time moving slower than it should. Most people hated the late shift. But for Ella it meant peace. Less noise, fewer crowds, just her and the steady rhythm of scanning barcodes. She'd worked there for 8 months, juggling shifts between college and caring for her little brother. Her dream was simple: save enough to study nursing. Nothing fancy, nothing wild, just a better life. That night she tied her ponytail tighter, smiled at the last customer, and began cleaning the counter. Almost closing time. Just 10 more minutes. The door slid open, the sound made her flinch. 3 men walked in, laughter spilling before them like beer foam. Black jackets, loud voices, that kind of confidence that doesn't come from happiness, but from the thrill of making others uncomfortable. "Hey, sweetheart," one of them called out, swaggering toward the counter. "Still open, yeah?" Ella forced a polite smile. "We close in 10 minutes, sir, but you're welcome to grab what you need." The tallest one leaned on the counter. "Oh, we'll grab what we need, all right." His friends laughed low, mean laughter. In the far aisle, near the shelves stacked with bottled water, Jasonstatham stood quietly, scanning through a small list in his hand. He'd stopped in after a late meeting with the company's security manager. It wasn't unusual, he liked going unnoticed, liked the quiet. But when he heard the laughter, his hand froze mid-reach. Ella tried to keep her calm. "If you tell me what you're looking for, I can help you find it." The man closest to her smirked, pulling a pack of gum from the display. "You can help me with something better than that." His friend snickered. "Yeah, maybe a smile that's not fake." The third one chimed in, stepping closer than anyone should. "Or maybe she's shy, you shy sweetheart." Ella's throat tightened. She stepped back. "Please don't touch the counter, I'll get security if." "Security?" the tallest one laughed, leaning in until she could smell the alcohol on his breath. "There's no security at this hour, just you." He reached forward, grabbed the edge of her collar, and lifted her name tag slightly. "Ella," he read aloud. "Cute name." The other 2 snickered behind him. One even pulled out his phone, pretending to record. "Smile for the camera, Ella," he mocked. "You're famous now." Her eyes darted toward the store cameras. She knew they were recording, but it didn't feel like enough. Not when 3 men stood between her and the exit. And that's when she saw him, a figure, far down aisle 4. Silent still, watching. Jason's eyes met hers for a second, calm, unblinking, sharp. He didn't move, not yet, but something in his look told her, "You're not alone." Back at the counter, the men were getting bolder. "Come on, we're just having fun," one said, waving a candy bar at her. "You need to learn how to take a joke." "Yeah," said the one behind him. "Don't make this awkward, love." But Ella's fear had turned into something else, anger. "Put that down and leave," she said, voice trembling but steady. The leader grinned. "Oh, or what?" He tore open the candy bar, took a bite, and dropped the wrapper on the counter. "Add it to my tab." From behind them, a calm voice spoke. "You won't be paying for that." The men turned. Jasonstatham stood there, hands in his pockets, gaze like ice. The air shifted instantly. "Who the hell are you?" the tall one barked. Jason took a slow step forward. "Doesn't matter. What matters is you put the wrapper down, apologize, and leave." One of the men laughed nervously. Oh, you think you're some kind of cop? Jason tilted his head. No, I just don't like bullies. Ella's breath hitched. The tone of his voice, calm, steady, was scarier than shouting. The men glanced at each other, sensing something off. The leader scoffed, "You're serious." Jason's expression didn't change. "Do I look like I'm joking?" One of them stepped closer, trying to tower over him. "You don't know who you're talking to." Jason's gaze didn't waver. "You're right, I don't, and after tonight no one will." The man blinked. "What does that?" Before he could finish, Jason moved, not fast, not loud, but precise. He reached out, grabbed the man's wrist, twisted, and the candy bar dropped to the floor. "Here's what happens next," Jason said evenly. "You leave, all three of you, or I start showing you what respect looks like." The store fell silent. Even the refrigerator hum seemed to stop. Ella stood frozen, half in disbelief, half in relief. The men stared at him, half angry, half afraid, unsure what to do. But before any of them could speak, another voice came from the back of the store. Deep, calm, familiar. "Everything all right here, Mr. Statham?" It was Mark, the night security supervisor, a former Marine, built like a wall. He'd been checking the back exit when he heard the commotion. Behind him, two other guards stepped into view. Jason glanced back briefly, then turned to the men. "You were saying?" The leader's face paled. We were just leaving." Jason nodded slowly. "Good, don't forget your manners on the way out." They shuffled toward the door, muttering curses under their breath. But just before stepping outside, one of them turned and spat. "This isn't over." Jason's eyes flicked up, cold and flat. "You're right, it's not." When the doors shut behind them, the room felt heavier, the kind of silence that follows adrenaline. Ella finally exhaled, her knees weak. I thought they were going to." Jason interrupted softly. "You're safe now." He nodded toward the guards. "See her home?" Mark nodded. "Yes, sir." Jason turned, picking up the torn wrapper from the floor. He looked at it for a second, just a crumpled piece of foil, but something about it burned into his hand. He knew men like that didn't stop because they were scared once. They came back, always did. And as he dropped the wrapper into the trash bin, his jaw tightened. "Lock the doors," he said quietly. Mark frowned. "You think they'll come back tonight?" Jason's eyes darkened. "They'll try." He turned toward the front window outside. Headlights flashed once across the glass, slow and deliberate. The same car, the same men. Jason's voice dropped to a whisper. "Round 1's over." The hum of the streetlights outside flickered against the store windows, pale yellow bleeding through glass streaked with fingerprints and dust. Inside, the store was locked, lights dimmed. The world beyond the glass was quiet, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that comes before trouble. Jason stood still near the counter, eyes fixed on the parking lot. Two headlights idled across the street, motionless. He could see the silhouettes inside, shoulders moving, the faint orange glow of cigarettes. They weren't gone. They were waiting. Mark, the head of security, joined him at the front. "They're just sitting there." Jason nodded slowly. "Yeah." "What do you want to do?" Jason didn't take his eyes off the car. "Nothing yet. Let's see what they think they're brave enough to try." Behind them, Ella was still trembling. She sat on a stool behind the counter, trying to steady her breathing. Every small noise, the buzz of the light, the tick of the wall clock, made her flinch. Jason turned toward her. "You called the police?" She nodded weakly. "They said someone's on the way. 10, maybe 15 minutes. Jason's jaw flexed. That's long enough for a lot of bad decisions. Mark reached for his radio. "I'll get my guys to secure the back." Jason placed a hand on his shoulder. "No, keep it quiet. If they see us panicking, they'll smell it." Mark frowned. "You think they'll come in?" Jason's tone was low, certain. They didn't come back to talk. Outside, the car engine cut. One door opened, then another. 3 shadows stepped out, shoulders hunched, voices low. One of them carried something long, metallic. Jason could see it reflected in the glow of the street lamp. A crowbar. Mark's hand instinctively moved toward his belt, where he carried a flashlight and a collapsible baton. Jason just said quietly, "Let them come to us." Ella's voice trembled. "Why are they doing this? I didn't do anything." Jason turned to her. You didn't have to. People like that, they can't stand being told no. It's not about you, it's about control. She swallowed hard. I'm scared. Jason gave a faint nod. Good, fear keeps you alert, but don't let it tell you what to do. He motioned toward the small office door at the back. Go in there, lock it. Don't open it for anyone but me or Mark. Ella hesitated. What about you? Jason's eyes stayed on the window. I'll be fine. The men approached the entrance, their laughter muffled by the glass. The leader, the tall one, banged his fist on the door. Hey, open up. No answer. He banged again. We just want to talk. Still nothing. Mark whispered, they'll break it. Jason nodded once. Let them. The crowbar came down. Glass cracked, then splintered. The automatic door sensors twitched once, then died with a dull buzz. A chunk of glass fell, scattering across the tiles. The men stepped through, grinning, drunk on their own bravado. Well, the leader said, scanning the aisles. Where's the tough guy now, huh? His friend laughed. Maybe he ran off. Jason's voice came from the shadows. Wrong guess. They turned. He stepped forward slowly, out from behind the shelves, calm, deliberate, like a man who'd already decided what needed to happen. Mark stood behind him, silent, a wall of muscle and purpose. The leader sneered. You should have left when you had the chance. Jason tilted his head slightly. So should you. The one with the crowbar raised it. You think we're scared of you. Jason's tone didn't change. No, I think you should be. The first man swung. Jason stepped in close, caught his wrist mid-swing, and twisted hard. Bone cracked, the crowbar clattered to the floor. Before the man could scream, Jason shoved him back into a display shelf. Bottles crashed down around him. The second lunged, throwing a punch. Jason ducked, countered with a sharp elbow to the gut, then a quick jab to the chin, precise, efficient. The man dropped, gasping. Mark took the third, blocking a wild swing and pinning him against the cooler door with one arm. The leader struggled to reach for something in his pocket, but Jason was already there. He grabbed the man by the collar, slammed him lightly against the wall, not with rage but with purpose. Still think you're in control? Jason asked quietly. The man spat blood, defiant. You think this ends here? Jason's voice lowered. No, it ends when you learn something. He let go, just long enough for the man to stumble, then caught him again before he hit the ground. Look at me, Jason said. You came here to scare a girl, 3 of you. That's not power. That's weakness dressed up as a man. The leader's breath came ragged. You don't know who I am. Jason cut him off. I don't need to, I know what you are. The police sirens were faint in the distance now, flashing lights reflecting off the windows. The men froze at the sound. Jason finally stepped back, letting Mark hold them in place. Pick up the crowbar, Jason said, nodding toward the one who dropped it. The man hesitated. Go on, Jason said, pick it up. He bent down, trembling, and grabbed it by the handle. Jason leaned in slightly. Now put it down again, gently. The man obeyed. That's the first smart thing you've done tonight, Jason said quietly. Don't forget how that feels. The officers burst in seconds later, guns drawn, shouting commands. Jason lifted his hands calmly, stepping aside. They're all yours. As the men were cuffed, one of the officers glanced at Jason. Recognition flashed across his face. Mr. Statham. Jason gave a small nod. Evening, officer. The man blinked, trying not to show surprise. We'll handle it from here, sir. Jason simply replied, make sure they don't walk away with a warning. The officer nodded. Trust me, they won't. When the chaos settled, Ella stepped out of the back office. Her eyes were red from crying. The floor was littered with glass and candy wrappers, the scent of spilled soda heavy in the air. She looked around, then at Jason. Are they gone? Jason nodded, for good. Her hands were still shaking. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been here. Jason's voice softened. Then I'm glad I was. He crouched slightly to pick up a piece of glass. Thing about nights like this, they show you who people really are. Ella frowned. What do you mean? Jason looked up at her, his expression calm but tired. Some people hurt others to feel strong. Others stand up to stop it. You just saw both. She nodded slowly, tears welling again. I'll never forget this. Jason gave a faint smile. Good, but don't let it turn into fear. Let it turn into something stronger. A few hours later, the police were gone. The mess was half cleaned. Mark leaned against the counter, sipping coffee. Never thought my quiet shift would turn into this. Jason smirked slightly. Life's full of surprises. He glanced out the window again, dawn starting to glow on the horizon. Go home, Mark, you've earned it. Mark nodded. You. Jason shook his head. I'll stay a while. After Mark left, Jason walked the aisles, the hum of the lights steady again, the world back in order. He passed the security mirror and caught his reflection, a bruise forming near his jaw, a small cut on his knuckle. He didn't mind. Pain reminded him he'd still done something that mattered. He walked to the counter where Ella was finishing paperwork for the police report. She looked exhausted. Everything okay? He asked. She nodded. Yeah, I just can't believe people can be that cruel. Jason's voice was quiet. They can, but they can also change when someone finally stands in their way. Ella hesitated. You do this a lot, help strangers. Jason smiled faintly. Only when I'm in the wrong place at the right time. Later that morning, the store manager arrived, shocked at the shattered glass and police tape. He was full of apologies and promises. But as Ella handed over her statement, she noticed something odd, a small folded note on the counter where Jason had been standing earlier. She picked it up, unfolded it carefully. In neat, steady handwriting it read, "The world doesn't get better on its own. Sometimes it just needs someone to stay until it does. J.S." Her throat tightened. She folded it back, holding it like something fragile. When she stepped outside, the sky was pale blue, the street washed clean by dawn. Jason was nowhere in sight, only a black SUV turning the corner, vanishing quietly into the morning traffic. That night after her shift, Ella went back to the store to grab her jacket. The broken glass was gone, the doors replaced. Everything looked normal, like nothing had ever happened. But as she passed the counter, she noticed the small security monitor still playing footage from last night. On the screen, she saw herself, terrified, cornered, and Jason stepping out from the aisle like a shadow made solid. For a moment, she just watched, not out of shock but out of gratitude. Then she whispered softly, "Thank you." Across town, Jason sat in his car, parked by the water. The city lights shimmered on the surface, breaking into 1,000 small reflections. He leaned back quiet, eyes tired but steady. Mark had called earlier to say the men were facing charges, assault, trespassing, intent to harm. Real consequences this time. Jason didn't reply much. He didn't need to. He thought of Ella, the fear in her eyes, the strength that came after. He thought of all the people who'd walk through her checkout line tomorrow, never knowing what she'd survived. And that was enough. He looked down at his hands, the same hands that had fought, defended, and comforted. Then he whispered under his breath, almost to himself, "Still worth it." The wind off the water picked up, carrying the sound of distant sirens and city noise, life moving on. Jason started the engine, turned up the collar of his jacket, and drove off into the dawn. Because for men like him, peace didn't mean quiet nights. It meant knowing that somewhere, someone else got to sleep safely because of what you did. And for Jasonstatham, that was always enough.